Has Twitch ever paid attention to Africa TV and what they were doing?
Absolutely.
Oh, really?
I remember one of the biggest things to happen was when we finally got Faker.
And Microsoft Mixer, not sure whether you recall the service or not,
Oh, yes.
they wanted to compete against Twitch. Has Twitch ever paid attention to Africa TV and what they were doing?
Absolutely.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I was very lucky to know some of the original team that were responsible for community relations and creator relations here in Korea. We knew that the Korean streamer ecosystem was much more developed than it was in the US. And so we were not just competing against the fact that Africa and a couple of other platforms were more ahead in securing like exclusive broadcast rights to esports events, but the creators had much bigger followings on those platforms. And those audiences felt comfortable on Africa. You know, Twitch was a foreign culture to them. I remember one of the biggest things to happen was when we finally got Faker to stream on Twitch once.
Okay.
And everybody at Twitch, all of our employees wanted to take a picture with Faker.
I have to ask this question. Did Twitch pay Faker
Oh yeah.
to stream on
Of course.
Okay.
I don't know the numbers. And for a long time, Twitch was against paying creators.
Exactly.
But I think that especially as we understood the power and the impact, it was a question of, is this going to be ROI positive? Can we justify it? And also, in some contexts, even if it wasn't ROI positive, just from those numbers, it was about saying, we understand how important Faker is to this community or other creators. Sometimes it's about saying, we value you.
Right. Yeah, because Ninja, back in the day, Ninja was very famous in Twitch.
Yes.
And Microsoft Mixer, not sure whether you recall the service or not, they wanted to compete against Twitch.
I know this may come as a shock to many of you, but as of today, I will be streaming exclusively on Mixer. I know, it's exciting.
They came with a big financial number and they decided to pay Ninja to be exclusive on the Mixer, which is failed miserably. But you know, a lot of times when you actually have somebody who actually want to take it away from the platform, you gotta do it. But Twitch came into Korea trying to compete against Africa, and then they failed.
Yes.
And then they decided to basically fold the businesses and they actually get out of Korea.
Yep.
Why was that? I mean, were you there at the Twitch at the time when this decision was made?
I was not Twitch at the time that it was made. As far as I understand it, it was just that it was becoming too expensive to serve locally compared to what local Korean companies were able to provide in infrastructure, bandwidth, like management of technological costs. And so this is a big question because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Twitch is owned by Amazon.
That's right.
The biggest, web service provider.
Amazon is very disciplined on making the financial decisions. Yeah.
And they are not afraid to say this actually isn't generating revenue or profit, and we will, back out of it. It has happened in other countries as well. Korea is the most well-known, but we had similar plans for expansion in India, and Twitch had backed away from India for a long time too.
So Faker couldn't help.
Couldn't seal the deal, and that's tough. That's probably on us. We could have been better about it. Faker, always great.
If you think back, there is a similarity between Mixer paying Ninja to boost their services and Twitch paying Faker to boost their services, and at the end of the day, both of them failed. So what that means is that growth, a lot of times numbers seems to suggest that you gotta pay somebody to be able to grow.
Yeah.
But that growth is really not organic, and if it is not organic growth, a lot of times it can't sustain.
It's not sustainable. You know what? Maybe we can't keep our top creators forever. They're going to have different interests. Their life is gonna come through and they're gonna wanna start a family or pursue a different career. We should be ready for them to step away from content, and there will be another creator, another community that will step in its place and fill that void. I've seen it on all of these platforms trying to figure out, how do we create the next superstar? How do we create the next superstar?